All right, episode 4, Grief Box. Now, we get this door-to-door thank you. They're passing out the urns to everybody who lost loved ones during the Purge. I thought that was really interesting. You know, obviously very similar to what we do for fallen soldiers. We go to their families' doors. There's that great movie with Woody Harrelson, The Messenger, right? Isn't that that's him and Ben Foster, right? Am I remembering that correctly? Did I just say member? Am I membering that correctly? Member berries. Yeah, I remember that being a great movie. Woody Harrelson is just a fantastic actor. Anyways, let's move on. But yeah, I love just getting little bits, little more tidbits of the Purge universe, of how things are worked. That's why I love seeing this television series, because we have more time to explore, especially the aftermath. I've always been so fascinated by the aftermath. And this is the Remember Day or Remembrance Day or whatever. And so they go around and they give everyone off. Now, as I had called it, the evidence that they find is that she has proof that the Purge actually incites violence in people, as opposed to cutting down on their desire to do so. So it makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. That's why it was pretty easy for me to guess, because yeah, it makes perfect sense. This is something the NFFA would want to cover up, and I thought there was also another extremely interesting element here, where Ben is following the events of the farmer that he killed, and it is reported on the news that he died of heat stroke. So they're actually covering up murders. They're covering up crime to boost their numbers, or lower their numbers, should I say, so that it shows that crime is down. So how many murders are they covering up? How much crime are they covering up? Now, if crime was out of control, I don't feel like they could cover it up that much. Like if it was just like riots in the city and whatnot. So it isn't on that scale, but they are covering up murders. They are covering up violent offenders. And when people go, and the people in this experiment were all murdered by the NFFA, as well as I'm sure Ben will probably be tracked down, more than likely, by our girl here who's investigating. I'm sure she'll kind of catch wind of this. But to what extent does she plan this? She doesn't know anything about this, and she works pretty close to the heart of the operations here. So she's not savvy to any of this, but she now is. She now realizes that this is all a big cover-up, and that things are not like they say. Oh, the government's lying? No way. But I just thought that was a great, interesting element to throw into the Purge universe, that the people are being lied to. People want to murder more so than ever, and when they do, outside of the Purge, they cover it up to make it look like everything's peachy keen, and that the Purge continues to keep happening. So great stuff there. Great stuff there. Love all of that. Everyone. Oh yeah, I already said all of that. Then we meet Marcus's ex-wife Tanya, and then you start thinking, oh, okay, he has an ex-wife. All right, maybe she wants him dead. I'm still sticking with his wife. I ain't changing my view on that. Nothing yet has pulled me away from that. But his buddy pulls up in the truck. We see them 14 years prior to that. We see the relationship with them. I think they're going to get back together. I think that we're going to get some more information, and he's going to become more and more disconnected from his wife. And at the end, ultimately, his ex-wife and him are going to end up together, and the wife will end up dead. Or Tanya, the ex, will end up dead, or something along those lines. But they still have something for one another. I'll be curious to see what broke them up if we ever see it. So yeah, he sees his buddy, sees the truck, thinks it's the truck that tried to run him over, goes and throws him around, and he's wrong on that, which of course would be, yeah, I mean, as his friend, especially people who have been through the purge with him, he would have to understand. I would at least expect that. And how many people are out there looking? This is what I was talking about. Like, how could your neighbor try to kill you and then you just go right back to your life? Like, when you know it's your neighbor, when you know it's that guy. This guy doesn't even know who it is, so he's freaking out. He's going out there. He wants to know who has a hit on him. But when your neighbors come into your house unmasked and they're like, I'm here to kill you, then you just got to go right back to living next to him. So that's a totally different way to explore that. But we got this one as well, so that's interesting. And all right, so I like how Esme goes to investigate this girl's house, and this landlord is there, and he comes up on her, and she's peeking in the house. Now, of course, we are talking about the Purge universe, so crime is probably very low, as at least they're making you believe. So someone creeping around someone's backyard and looking through their windows may not be as big of a deal as it once was, but she definitely gets almost zero guff. And all I had to say about that when I was watching that is it must be really nice sometimes, not always, of course, everything has its downsides, but it's got to have its serious advantages to be a gorgeous woman. Because if I was out there, or shit, the other people were out there, he would not have the reaction that he has. He's just like, hey, what are you doing here? Yeah, I'd get like hit over the head. What the hell are you doing here? And so Ryan's buddy that's in jail, he talks about how he is vital to their operations of the past. He's like, yeah, of course you're struggling. Of course you're stuck because you don't have me. You know, I'm the ship. And he meets up with this new character who he doesn't know if he can trust, this and that. And so what I think is going to happen here is Ryan's going to have to bite the bullet here. And on Purge night, he is going to break his friend out of jail. I think they're going to have a pre-Purge, or pre-heist prison break to get this guy out, because death penalty for what he's getting and all that. I don't think they're going to leave him behind. I think it's all going to culminate. Everything's going to come together. All these characters are connected right now, and they're all going to come to a head towards the end of this show. And I think there will be a prison break to get that dude out of jail. So I look forward to that, because he definitely does not deserve to die. And Ben meets a really bad influence, and he goes to kill his friend. And when his friend's back is turned, he comes at him with a knife. And his friend turns around and he looks at him, and he's holding an urn, which of course we found out earlier in the episode that they just throw a bunch of, who knows if that's actually human remains. I don't know. But they just have a ton of ashes that they're just scooping and throwing into these things, because there's so many. They can't even do them one by one. So maybe a speck of that in there is actually this dude's, I think, his brother, right? So yeah, he's crying. I'm so sorry. I left you. All I'm thinking about is, what if blah, 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 my brother, this and that. So yeah, that was an interesting development for sure. And then he goes off to kill the Purge protesting hippie, which I would be that person. I'd be like out there every day, man, like, don't do this shit. I'd be an advocate for sure. What a nightmare of a world this would be. And you'd have a lot of those, like, peace marching hippie type characters, protesters, constantly pushing against the Purge. There would be so many. It would not be some small little cause like she had. It would be a lot of people. Although, as they show it in this series, A lot of people, it's, I don't know. Some people seem to be into it, but a lot of people don't seem to be into it. But shit, man, there's a lot of things in this world right now, in this country, my country right now, that most people don't like, but they tolerate every single day. So I don't know. I guess, yeah. But it ain't the Purge. The Purge is a little extreme of an example. Anyways, and so Marcus is super upset, and he goes and he posts on the dark web to try to get some information back on who put the hit out on him. So he's still going down this rabbit hole, and he's gonna just continue. But it's the wife. I'm sticking with it. And I guess I don't know. Why would they show 14 years ago? How that's all gonna play out? Maybe it is a friend. I don't know. Will we return to that? I think it was 14 years. Will we return to that? I don't know. If so, then maybe it isn't. Maybe it's someone in those flashbacks, but we'll see. And Ryan sets up the heist for $100 million. With the inflation of the Purge universe, I don't know how much that is, but I'm assuming that's still a whole lot of money. But yeah, I think he's going to break his buddy out of jail. You guys still think it's the wife, or did you ever? Are you with me on that? And do you think that Ben goes through with and kills this young protesting girl? He probably will. And will they cover that up as well? They probably will. But yeah, so where do we think this is heading? And I will see you next week. Adios.